You're tuned into news across the galaxy where they talk all things LA Galaxy with the Nag Boys. Let's start nagging.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so I have that one too.
Nice.
And we are live. News Across the Galaxy presents The Midweek Show. I'm your host, Bryant, and next to me, as always, is Mr. Edgar. How you doing, sir?
Hey, man, you see, I'm still hanging out in the void over here because, you know, it's one thing to be like an MLS team, but to be an MLS Next Pro team in an Open Cup, that don't matter, man. So I'm still hanging out in the void until Vanny gets out of here.
Hey, and we have two special guests all the way from the East Coast representing Charlotte Fan TV. It is Lee and JT. How you gentlemen doing?
Good,
We're
man.
doing real good, y'all. No, I'm just kidding, man. We're doing good. We're doing good. How you doing, Lee?
All right, man. Just out here enjoying the weather.
Beautiful,
Why don't you
beautiful.
stand still, dude? Stand still. Just stand still. Stop
I'm
moving.
antsy. I'm very antsy, man. I'm not used to this stuff.
Sure,
Well,
you aren't.
Let me ask you guys a quick question then to start off the show.
All right.
How did CLT Fan TV come about?
Go ahead, JT.
Well, Lee, a dear cousin of mine, called me up. He knew I did video work, and basically, as soon as the team was formed, he went on all the socials and grabbed CLT FC Fan TV. He's from England originally, loves the Premier League, as so many people do now, but it has been a huge Tottenham fan forever, and so he knew about Fan TV and Arsenal Fan TV over there, and it was blowing up on YouTube, and it's just fun to watch. And the main point is he wanted to be involved with the club, but he didn't want to be in one of the supporters groups as in like a leader of that. He wanted to do his own original thing. He saw Arsenal Fan TV. He knew I did video. We got together, and we got established as soon as they named the team.
Oh,
Is that right, Lee?
Yeah, that's spot on. Actually, I'm impressed.
100%. And we actually asked some of our viewers if they had any questions for you guys, and there's actually a couple. Let's start with one from our listener Bangarang77 on Instagram. He asks, "How has your supporter culture evolved from when it first started?"
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we've been pretty good out the gate. We've had a lot of supporters groups that get established, and they've all kind of taken on separate roles. They really work hard. The TIFO, there's the royal family, that is the collective of the supporter groups. And yeah, man, it's just, that, and it's a new shiny toy in Charlotte, man. So the fans are all there. At the beginning of the year, I was a little worried because we were starting to lose some games there, much like yourself. And I was worried about the stadium being empty, but so far so good, man. We're averaging at least 30,000 a game.
That's actually not even bad for MLS.
Yeah,
That's not bad at all.
Can I say something about the supporters groups too, though? Is that they come rain or shine, I think they've been the same the whole time. And for people from North Carolina, used to going to Bank of America Stadium watching NFL, the Panthers games, compared to the supporters groups right behind the goal, and having the councils and having the TIFOs and the march. And we got lucky enough that DT David Tepper, bought a lot, I don't know, a half mile from the stadium. It's a big gravel lot. And he said, supporters groups, you can have this to tailgate, which is a football thing. So we have a huge tailgate of all the different supporters groups. Plenty of fun for the kids, games, music, all sorts of stuff, plenty of beer, obviously. But they're like, hey, this is yours to use however you want. And that's every single, and anyone who wants to come to that area can come there. And so we've taken the Carolina style and the supporters groups, which I didn't even know about with soccer, and it's just awesome. It's so great.
Yeah, from this side, because we're not used to seeing a lot of these southern states take with the game of soccer as much, like, let's say us in California or like in the East Coast. And it's kind of amazing to see that in a town that's very into the Panthers and into college football and stuff like that, to accept the game of soccer. It's actually beautiful to see, and it actually helps the league grow, just because there's more eyes on watching those type of teams grow as well.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised though. North Carolina is a very popular state to play soccer in. I mean, we got all the colleges, right? We've had some colleges actually go into the final of the NCAA. So there's talent here. I mean, 2 or 3 of our players are actually from this state, right? So it's and they're starters, right? Like Bryant Edgar, for instance, he's probably about an hour outside of Charlotte is where he grew up. So, and he went to school in Charlotte. So you'd be surprised, like the grassroots level is very, very, very popular. So, and with the younger kids, the parents take them and everything. So, they're getting into the sport too, and they're more my age. So it's like, it's growing, man. And it's good to see, like you said.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a great time. It's a great time. And they've totally embraced the whole idea of a party. And they put out merch that said, "Are you ready to party? Let's party." And everyone that's been waiting for it on the wings that, might have already gone to NFL, but plenty of people who could care less about the Panthers or college football from all over the place. I mean, we're big enough, and we're a crossroads in between North and South and over, the East part. But the basic idea is people are waiting for it. And now that it's here, and it's the inaugural season, last season, it's our baby, it's birthed with and that's the best point too, is the coaches will come and go, the players will come and go, but we will always be here. And for us to start it and to see these little kids that we interview on the street, that kid's going to be 18 and then he'll be 38 and the team will be here and he'll remember doing that. And hopefully I'll be here. I don't know about you, Lee. I don't know about you, Lee. That's right. I'm doing some Southern preaching now.
Let's go.
Oh, y'all, come to the church of Charlotte FC.
Let's go.
And let's hang out. No, actually, it works out well because the Galaxy name, that's one thing I wanted to talk about. To flip it to y'all, but the Galaxy, just thinking, do y'all ever like Star Trek nights or, whatever? Have they played up the whole Galaxy name over the years? Because y'all the OGs. I mean, y'all were the first ones out the gate. You know what I'm saying? Y'all the real deal. And we the new kids on the block, literally. So what's up with the Galaxy and you in the void? What's that about?
Well, the whole Galaxy thing, when it first started, I remember way back in '96, I was there at the very first game. And I remember it was curious, like, why they call them the LA Galaxy? A lot of people drew a lot of parallels to the famous NASL team New York Cosmos. And I think Galaxy wanted to capture some of that same, I guess, legendary feeling that the Cosmos has. Because remember, the Cosmos, they had some of the best players in the world at the time. With Pelé, the greatest ever, and Beckenbauer, and they were an amazing team while they lasted. And I think Galaxy wanted to get some of that same feel about directly copying the same homework. But a lot of people, I remember, like, at the beginning, it wasn't explicitly explained. And I felt it was open to interpretation. And the way I interpreted it was that LA itself, Greater Los Angeles, is so massive. It's huge, right? And I felt like Los Angeles was like a giant culture, a giant galaxy of cultures and peoples and traditions. But then several years later, somebody decided to go back and actually canonize what it meant, and they said, "Oh, it's in honor of all the Hollywood stars and all the movie stars and the Hollywood culture." And I was like, "Man, I like my interpretation better, man."
That's bullshit.
And then LAFC showed up.
I was all on top. I'm all for what you said, because when you fly into LAX and you first start coming in, it's like lights upon lights upon lights upon lights upon. And it is such an expanse. Yeah. It is so huge. And you're right. All those lights, it's like a galaxy, man. Screw that.
Yeah. To answer your other question, yes, we have like Star Wars nights here when there's some home games. There's one more question that we got asked for you guys. GK13 on Instagram asks, is it true that Charlotte's Web is a Charlotte FC official play?
Say that one more time.
If Charlotte's
Charlotte's
Web is an official play for
man.
Charlotte FC.
Hey, whoever you are, number one, I've never heard anyone do the pun play of Charlotte's Web or the movie with Charlotte's Web. That is awesome. I love it. Thank you. You've given me creative content for at least 30 minutes. And the answer would be no. I've never heard that, but I love it. Charlotte's Web. I'm going to remember.
Sounds like a good TIFO idea.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I was gonna say something because you guys mentioned how the team came to be, and like I was telling you guys before we came on, my wife is from North Carolina. She grew up there, and for as long as I've known her, I would visit her in North Carolina when she still lived there, and I would do my best to go out and take in the culture. That meant going to Hurricanes games because she lived in Triangle, so I went to the Carolina Hurricanes, and when I found out they had the Carolina Railhawks, I was going to their games. And so whenever I could, I would try to support the sport in North Carolina because, they didn't draw big crowds, but I was like, you know what? They need all the support they can get, and I'm going to give support. So I would buy gear. I have some Carolina Railhawks gear. When they decided to switch to NCFC and they made that push for MLS, I remember I invested in the team. And then later on, with the Premier League squad, Appalachian FC, when they came out, I did the same thing. I even bought a season ticket package and it was raffled off to somebody. And then when Charlotte came on, I remember thinking to myself, I really wonder if they're going to be able to pull it off, because I remember that there was the Independence, and I don't remember the Independence being like that big of a hit.
But the Independence was kind of big, and they had a pretty good following. And then apparently the owner said some racial slurs or something on Twitter one day, and then there was a big backlash, and so they kind of dwindled off. And then obviously the MLS team comes in and kind of just overtakes them, right? So it's kind of sad to see, but it's a good cheap night out for the family.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to me it was a pleasant surprise because after seeing what happened in Atlanta, I was like, I wonder if Charlotte's going to be able to do the same thing and capture that same emotion, that same hype. and you guys did amazing. You broke the record for single game attendance.
We beat them 3-1 at home the other week too.
But having it in an NFL stadium, and they pulled out all the stops to get every single person there. That was an insane night. I know. Edgar, you have one of the minted. You showed it to me earlier. So that night they gave away. Put it closer to the camera so people can actually see the little patch. It's like a little stick-on patch, but it adheres really well. And if you were there that night, you got one. But they're all over the place. But still, that you see some people with the original kit wearing that. But the basic point, for me, was it was in Bank of America Stadium. It was the big time, and Bank of America Stadium had already started bringing in these friendly matches. So they would have these friendlies between like Honduras and whoever, year after year, like Premier League would come over, La Liga, someone would come over, and people would come out of the woodwork to come see it. And it was definitely a big Latino vibe, but they would show up. So once our own team that was at the top of, aka MLS in America, that's when I think all the people were like, this is the big time. And it was in the stadium that's downtown that many people are already used to going to watch games with the Panthers. So it worked out. And you got a billionaire owner who can definitely flush money and help things out as much as possible, theoretically.
Yeah, from what I've been noticing, you guys are doing a lot of things right. I remember telling the guys about my experience going to the LA Galaxy kit launch in downtown LA. I don't know if you guys know what happened. They chose this historic movie theater that I remember going to watch movies when I was a kid in the 80s, and but this theater it's old, and I mean it's something that it's a relic, and it should be like a monument more than to be used, and they decided to have it there as I don't know exactly why, because they've had kit launches before at LA Live, which is across the street from Staples Center, and that was a big hit. So they did it the small theater, and because of the Klein Out protest, there weren't that many people. There was actually a group of people protesting across the street from this movie theater, and once you were inside, it was really dark and dim, and it took a while for them to get going. I told the guys it reminded me a lot of a very badly this just planned high school recital or something like that.
No.
Because it was dark and dim. The spotlight they weren't hitting the right people.
And it's in LA though.
Yeah,
There's people who know how to produce
you would
show
think, right?
with lights and microphones and sound. I mean, holy shit, man! What the hell happened?
They'd even told people, hang out after the kit launch because the players are going to be available for photographs and and photos and everything. You could talk to them, and then they brought out the team. They were all wearing the new kit. The players left, and everybody's just like,
That's it, huh?
"What's going on?" Right? And Joe Tutino, who's our play-by-play guy, he was up on stage, and I waved him down. I was like, Joe, what's going on? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, the MC doesn't know what's going on. And like, what's going on? I was like, is it going to be like an autograph session, in a photo session? What's going on? He's like, actually, the players already left.
Oh.
And then I remember like I was feeling everybody was so disappointed, right? And I remember like later on seeing Lee's footage from like y'all's kit launch, and I was blown away. I was like, holy shit, these guys went all out. Lee, can you describe it, man?
When the T puts on an event, they go all out, man. They don't hold back. I just wish they'd spend more money on the pitch.
Yeah. We need grass. We need grass.
100%.
More players, too.
What was it like, Lee? Can you just quickly describe what the kit launch was like? Because I remember seeing you guys sipping like wine, and they had nice ambient lighting.
Well,
the last one was the Royal kit.
Right.
And they made it like a royal experience. They have red carpet rolled out, and you walk in.
Oh, you're talking about the most recent ones, Edgar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. I mean, and then they had it set up where you had like the crown chair or whatever they want to call it. They just had some real chilled lighting. So it was all in that purple of the kit.
You know what was funny though, Edgar? Is that they have the stadium lights now because it was done at night. They had the stadium lights, and so the modern ones, they can do the light shows and they can do all these different LED colors and stuff. So because it was going to be the Royal and it was all about purple, they had the purple lights on. Well, purple lights, like a black light, makes all the colors change. So I'm sitting there trying to film people with the new kit that is purple in purple light, and it made it look black. It was purple light with purple light. So they're trying to do, like, if it was daytime, that purple, because everyone's wearing it and it's all on all the banners and everywhere around, it would have looked awesome. However, they chose, which would still look great, but it was interesting, nighttime, all purple light. And everything was like a black light. If you were wearing, green, it was like day glow and stuff like that. So, but it was still fun. I mean, they did a good job. There were like 7-8 players that came out. But also, it's at the NFL stadium, so they also, they have the smoke cannons, and there's so much stuff they already have there, and they know how to do, and they know the vendors to bring in for fireworks, and they're used to putting on big shows.
Well, speaking of big shows and players and grass and kits, the LA Galaxy take on Charlotte FC this weekend. Two teams, well, one team on our team who has been in very bad form in MLS. Charlotte, who just came off a defeat against Nashville last week in a controversial penalty kick, I would say. And of course, the Open Cup. I mean, you guys didn't put your starters in the Open Cup, but it was still a back-to-back L. We coming off a win against our rivals. So these two teams are coming in different heights with
Yeah,
the
but you're
recent
letting that
games.
slide under the table a little bit, though, man. You say you're gonna win. You come off of your biggest rival win, but we all know. Like I believe a wise man told me in the Twitter chat that they put out their second team and you barely won. So.
Oh yeah,
A win's a win, though. Which you could get a win against anybody, especially your rivals. A win's a win.
That's right.
Points are points.
Yeah. How does the team come to LA? I know you guys don't have that bad of an away record, but what is the key things that you guys are looking for to come to LA and maybe steal a point or 3 points?
Definitely 3. So I don't know. Our problem with that team is we can't finish. So we like the defensive line's kind of questionable too. But the hardest part, and it was very prominent last night, is like the opportunities. We just can't take them. So if everybody's firing and we get some key injury players back, I think we'll be all right and I think we're going to come away with a 2-1 win.
Ooh. Already giving the prediction scores. 2-1.
Wow. Yeah, that's because my battery's about to die.
Yeah, you're right. What about you, JT, sir? How do you see it this weekend?
I'm saying 2-1 us as well, because we haven't been finishing too great in the last third, but I don't know, getting beat by Birmingham.
We played our fringe players though, man. Then we had a man sent off. So
I know.
Let's not get too carried away.
I'm not getting too carried away, but don't forget, you're an old man who's mature and you can take criticism. However, most of these guys are in their early 20s, and people were talking mad stuff about them.
Yeah, but it comes with a paycheck.
I know. I'm just saying, a little fire in the belly. And going out there to LA, to La La Land, out in the galaxy.
They're halfway there, anyways.
I think I really do think they're going to come out and competitive play, and I think they're going to win 2-1.
2-1.
Yeah. 2-1.
Who is your biggest threat right now on the offensive side? Is it Justin Miriam? Because you guys just
he's definitely been a good pickup for us. He's been a solid pickup. At first, I just thought he was going to be just a off the bench kind of guy, but he's came in and he's made the team shine, man, and they went around him. Westwood is a good one too, though. So, and he's really just kind of come back from injury, so he was out 4 or 5 games. So it's them two together make a big difference for us. Again, it all comes down to that last shot on goal, that finishing, right?
Yeah.
How about Hizuka Petty? I know that when he came in, there's a lot of expectations on him. He scored that banger, and to get started.
The big thing with him though is just be a little tougher, stay on your feet. Don't look for the call all the time. I think he's just been marked by the refs now. So,
but he has been coming on lately, and still has a shot for falling, but at the same time, he's been scoring more. So he's trying to find that balance. But yeah, he's the fire Argentinian,
Yeah. I remember Justin Miriam would always kill us when he played with Real Salt Lake. Maybe one of the players that I'm most afraid of, just because he kind of knows the Galaxy.
Yeah.
One thing that probably is going to play against you guys is just the travel from coast to coast. People say it's not a big deal, but it's
probably left from Alabama, I would reckon, right? And just fly the ones that didn't out.
Yeah, and
go ahead and get them out.
But still, you're still going. You're leaving on a Thursday morning or whatever to go continue out west.
Yeah, and it's a tough road for any team, even when West Coast teams head out there. It's a time difference. The jet lag does become a thing, and that's one of the things that might play in favor for us to maybe even get some type of result. Edgar, what do you think this weekend is going to look like?
I'm actually very curious to see how both teams are going to react, because before that loss to Nashville and then the loss in the Open Cup to Birmingham, I felt that Charlotte FC had turned things around, especially the way you guys went down to Atlanta and you just completely just crushed them, embarrassed them in their own home. I remember we lost Lee, but I remember I went onto an Atlanta podcast and they were discussing that match against Charlotte, and I remember telling them, "You guys are going to lose. You guys are going to lose to to Charlotte. Charlotte, and Atlanta are two teams headed in different directions at this point." And they're like, "You're probably right. That's probably what's going to happen." And then you guys went down there and completely took care of business. So I'm not sure if that loss to Nashville was just a hiccup. Like we said, it was a very fluky loss. And Galaxy, that win over LAFC was it's kind of a mirage, right? Because it came against a bunch of youngins, and Galaxy struggled against them. A bunch of 21-year-olds. They really struggled against them. They struggled against DC. They struggled against Columbus. Somehow they beat San Jose, and that's like in the middle of like this desert of losses. So I really don't feel too confident about LA Galaxy heading into this match. I feel like Charlotte's gonna want to bounce back and get a quality victory on the road against a team that historically, has been, the flagship of this league, and maybe get a little, well, not a little, a good measure of revenge for that
Yes.
opening loss a couple of years ago. I mean, a couple of years
Yeah,
ago.
well, yeah, a
in
year and a
Charlotte.
half ago, our first, our inaugural match, and it was 1-0. It was such a beautiful night, and so many people. That night was insane, for many reasons, but and then to lose 1-0, yeah. I have like 3 scarves that have inaugural match and has the date, and then it says LA Galaxy. At least it's written or it's stitched in our colors, so I can remember it that way. But nonetheless, guys, thanks for having us on. I appreciate it. Hey, what's the scene like before a game there?
Oh my God, we were just
Where's the
discussing that.
stadium? Do y'all tailgate? Are people hanging out? I mean, what's the scene?
It's complicated right now, to be honest.
Yeah, very
it's very, very
complicated.
complicated.
Very complicated.
I'll set it up, and then
Give me the
Brian can
bullet
continue. This is all swirling around the whole Klein out thing. In our stadium, we have 3 major supporters groups, and then like 2 smaller ones. Yes, there's the original, the Galaxians. I'm a charter member of the Galaxians, although I don't sit with them anymore.
There's 4 total. 4 total.
5. We have 5. So then there's the LA Riot Squad. Then there's Angel City Brigade, which is the biggest, and then there's Ghost Galaxy Ultras, right? Ghost Galaxy Ultras, and then there's the Galaxy Outlaws, and so all the supporters groups were united in the boycott against the club because of the displeasure with the way President Chris Klein was running the team. So even before the season started, they had announced that they were going to be boycotting the team in many different ways. A lot of them were saying that they're going to no longer renew their season tickets. They weren't going to attend matches. They weren't going to buy merch. They weren't going to, if they did attend matches, they weren't going to buy drinks or food. So any which way that they could make their presence felt, right? And like I said, I went to the kit launch, which was in early February, and they were there outside on the street, and they got a lot of attention. And then for the opening match, they were protesting in numbers outside. So the protest was on, right? And everybody knew there's no supporters groups at all inside the stadium. It was a very quiet atmosphere for a match. And
it's gotta suck for the players.
yeah, and it was noticeable.
You had to do what you had to do, but oh man, so sad.
Yeah, no, it was very noticeable. People on broadcast started noticing it, and then when it seemed like they were getting some traction, the wheels came off a little bit, I guess. One of the supporters groups decided to negotiate on their own, and they did so with the guy that everybody was protesting against. They wanted some concessions, and I guess they got them, or at least some of them have been met. And against everybody else's expectations, they went back. I guess you could say they broke lines. they went back to the stadium and they're back there, and
Damn.
It's just,
Some
it's
high
just,
drama.
they put out a tifo. This is the most difficult
Nah, I mean,
part.
all that stuff. I mean, we're kind of over it already.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that we care not to mention anymore, just because it's draining to everybody that's involved with the LA Galaxy, everybody
It's been
that
very
supports the LA
toxic.
Galaxy.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that, I mean, we'll see how the atmosphere is next season. Then we could talk about it then. Actually want to request a number. You said 1 through 15 before we went on, correct?
Yeah.
Let me get number 7.
Number 7. That is ironic because number 7 is what's the tailgate scene like?
No way. That was that
All right,
it?
so we've already done that one. Guess again.
Number 3, my lord. Pick number 3.
Number 3. We'll go number
Okay,
3.
so Brant, Lee brought him up earlier, but Brant Bronico, which is such a great name anyway, is he's our midfielder, he's our workhorse, he's our spirit of our team. He has an awesome mullet. It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful mullet. You'll see it. But he grew up like an hour and a half in High Point, not the Triangle, Edgar, the Triad, which is over Winston-Salem, whatever. And then he went to college at UNC Charlotte, and then he got drafted by Chicago Fire. And then when we became a team, he got pulled in here, and we love Bronico so much. So I just want people to appreciate and watch that beautiful mullet of Brant Bronico as he is running all through the midfield.
Hey, the goal that he scored against Nashville was actually beautiful. That was
Yeah.
all strength right there.
Yeah, he gets his chances and he takes advantage, but just, hearing him on the field, me being on the pitch with the meaty pass often enough or whatever, he's such a leader. He's just good stuff. We love him.
Yeah, Edgar, pick a number.
Okay. About number 1.
Number 1.
So what's the rivalry like with LAFC? Since y'all the OGs and they're the new kids on the block in your town, how does that work between both clubs? I mean, like we said, LA is so huge, square miles and stuff. Are they just totally on a different side of town, or what's that like?
No, they're actually like a 15-minute drive away from where we're at.
It's right up the road.
The rivalry, it stems from before that. So
Yeah, it has
before
history.
before LAFC was LAFC, there was a team by the name of Chivas USA who played
Okay.
in the same stadium as the LA Galaxy. So when that club went down and they dismantled, LAFC resurfaced not so long ago with the same, I don't want to say ownership.
It's pretty
What would
much
you call
from,
it,
from
Edgar?
the ashes of Chivas USA. Don Garber went in there, and Don Garber really wanted to have another club within the city because he felt like there was a lot of revenue to be uncovered. So from the ashes of Chivas USA.
Don
Yes.
Garber is the owner of the Clippers too. The big
No,
time.
he's a commissioner of MLS.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to remember. I was like, I know that.
Oh, I think it's Don Sterling. Not Don Sterling is the old owner of the Clippers.
Yeah. Okay, I'll get everything mixed up. Okay, I'm
Yeah,
with you.
so he felt like there was a lot more revenue to be found within the city because it's such a big city, like you said. So he didn't want to give up on Chivas USA, and around the same time, he also forced into creation NYCFC in New York. So yeah, NYCFC and LAFC are two of his pet projects, and so learning from the mistakes that Chivas USA made, because the name Chivas USA, Chivas is the nickname of a team from Mexico, from Guadalajara.
I'm
And
I'm
so
aware.
Guadalajara they were the owners of this team. It was the same ownership group, and it was kind of ironic because Guadalajara traditionally is known for never having any players that are not Mexican. So for their entire history, they've only had Mexican players, and now suddenly they had a team in MLS in the United States with a brand Chivas USA. So it was like really like what the heck? They had a very niche following, very passionate fans, very niche following, and they had some seasons where they were okay, and Galaxy and then butted heads in the playoffs, and Galaxy beat them every time. Um, it was it was a pretty tense rivalry for a while, but they had so many issues behind the scenes. Their ownership really wanted to stick to the whole we just want to have like Mexican American ownership or something, and so they were accused of racism.
From the old Chivas owner, so from what they were and rising back from the ashes, like you said, they in the pet project, like giving the thumbs up from the commissioner, like go ahead and do this. If y'all want to do it, if you want to be Chivas USA, but they're still trying to keep it culturally mainly Mexican.
No, they completely wiped the slate clean.
What?
And they said we're gonna bring back whatever this franchise, rebrand it with a whole different name, a whole different ownership. They did a lot of focus groups. They brought in all these different people. They brought in the core group of the fans that they had, which was a pretty small group of people. And from there they started bringing in different people, factions, and they got a ton of owners. They have Magic Johnson, Mia Hamm, former baseball players, movie stars, all these different people invested in the team. So they have a ton of money that they could use. And one of the most ironic things as a Galaxy fan was I remember Galaxy always wanted to have like their own stadium like in the city. When Galaxy first started, they had to play games at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena.
Right.
And we always wanted to have a stadium in LA itself, proper. But because the footprint of the sport wasn't that big, that substantial, there was a lot of pushback. So when Galaxy finally did get their own stadium, it wasn't in the city proper, but it's still within the county of LA. And that's where a lot of people say, LA Galaxy plays in Carson. When LAFC came along, they were given a plot of land really close to downtown LA. And they got to build this, nice new stadium, really close to the center of the city.
This is I can't even right now, Bell. I bring that one. That's bullshit. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Y'all been waiting. You've been way out in Pasadena, old ass fucking Coliseum, and then they're like, all right, we'll get you in LA County, and you're out in Carson, and then the LAFC, aka Old Chivas, comes out, and they're like, no, you cool, man. You're right down here. You're right down here, downtown. That's bullshit.
Yeah,
they got a new stadium. They got everything nice. Everything Galaxy ever like desired. It was pretty much handed to them on a silver platter. I don't know if it's a generational thing. Like, hey, you guys, go have everything you want. Everything you need. All the resources you need.
Yeah, and just the entitlement of their fan base as well is what kind of irks us, especially since a lot of them are ex-Galaxy fans. That's what really pisses off. And on top of that, their supporter group captain was the captain of the old Chivas USA supporter group. Their old coach, Bob Bradley, coached Chivas USA. So there was a lot of links between that. I mean, and we already didn't like Chivas USA as a team because they were playing in our stadium. And now, that other team did it right. They have a good fan base. They have a good team right now. And that hurt, it gets us mad because we're shit.
They did a very good job as far and in the front office with their general managers and like the people that they brought in to build a team. They brought in some good players and then just brought in the people that they needed to make the team work around these people. Meanwhile,
I'm sorry to interrupt, Edgar, but honestly, it sounds like, just looking at it from my point of view, it's like y'all were the experiment. You are the OGs. And then when it came in, they're like, okay, now we're going to do it this way. We're going to have these investors and we're going to have it downtown. It's like y'all were, the beta test of a MLS soccer team in LA for sure. And then LAFC is like you said, the commissioner, everyone's like, oh, let's make this perfect little baby or whatever.
I mean, it also happened on the East Coast because is there any coincidence that New York City FC and LAFC won back-to-back championships?
Bam! Damn, that's some hot conspiracy theory right there. I like that.
I mean, and as far as the rivalry, it goes from being like, you have a friend who's an LAFC fan, you guys kind of chuckle about it. You're like, ha ha ha, okay, our guys are gonna play each other, a friendly handshake, screw you. To like outright violence. There's been actually violence between the supporters groups, and it sucks. I feel like that type of violence doesn't have a place in the sport, right? In any sport, and a lot of them though are very aggressive. I've heard of them getting into scuffles with fans from different teams of Portland, San Jose, Seattle, RSL, Columbus.
Columbus.
So yeah, so I always tell people, from other, that follow their teams when they come and when they go into their state, I'm gonna tell them just, be very careful because these guys, it takes very little to like trigger them or for them to try to get you to fight with them, and alcohol doesn't make things easier. So, there's a lot of bad blood there. So to answer your question,
And that's number one, folks.
Yeah.
That's number one.
Well, the LA Galaxy plays Charlotte this weekend. DraftKings has the odds at LA Galaxy minus 145, the draw at plus 295, and Charlotte at plus 340. What does that mean? It means that the LA Galaxy is favorite, Eddie?
Yes, pretty heavily favored. About to go put some money on Charlotte.
I have the LA Galaxy winning, to be honest, on this one. It's going to be a tight one. I want to say 2-1. The LA Galaxy get a win at home. Just because I feel that beating LAFC's 20-year-olds may have gave them some type of momentum. And I know the travel is going to be hard for Charlotte. So hopefully we see a win. I don't want to see them lose again because I'm actually going to be there this weekend. So that would suck.
I think it's going to be interesting because it's like, their energy, wasn't the normal starting squad on Wednesday in Birmingham. And playing on Wednesday is one thing, but then again, they just lost to, a lower league team. I think they should have won that match. They definitely should have won. But I think their pride is on the line a little bit. So it's going to be interesting. I think with y'all and your record being so bad and them coming out there and jet lag is real, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's a toss-up to me. I'm still saying 2-1 Charlotte.
Yeah, that's you got to say with the home scene. Well, JT, thank you for being with us today. I know it's getting late on yours end of the your side of the world.
My side of the world.
So thank you once again, and of course thank Lee for us. I know his phone ended up dying,
I hope he found his car or whatever.
No, it'd be
hey, we only got the 2 numbers, so next time we play each other, there's plenty more to talk about.
Let's do one more number before we leave.
No, we gotta go.
All right,
my wife's gonna kill me. Damn it, man.
All right, from Edgar, Bryant, and from JT all the way out in Charlotte, we're gonna get up out of here. So everyone, thank you for tuning in. Keep on nagging.
How's it going, Eddie?
It's going. I'm just trying to end the stream real quick.
What do you think is gonna win?
The Galaxy, bro.
I think we lose.
Yeah.
Our guys are gonna be tired.